1. Delivered here by hurricane, what path a panic wind defined, abashing me wild latitudes from what I would have been, from bird beatified, bird fed. Who am I now? Who in the violence of the storm steered only in accordance and was lost, who starts disturbance in the flock, who is achingly unreal even to itself, and yet who cannot help but be gregarious, who twists a tense black-banded neck, investigates faint song, whose every contortion to avoid pain makes more sophisticated pain, who asks, what is it now to hide what cannot help but be divined? Who has appeared now to itself as a mechanism bound up to perform certain functions, but not those of the clock which it had hoped to be, that it might never notice how the spectacle revolves around humiliation, a joke without an audience, who was a plaything to the climate. 2. I was a plaything to the climate. The breezes lifted, swept me vast and plastic as they wished, all eyes to my assignment from the power in whose eyes all palaces, pyramids, and the worms that build them are alike contemptible. I was a humble ship set hazarding from rock to rock, and on each I struck a wreck, and all that changes you confuses parts for wholes, so that you become the very swarm you would dismiss but can't because it's you. United only by a drift, a vagueness, an ability. Knowing what I do has to do with me, composes it, and by that edict my paralysis decreased me to a mass of tissues beating, void now flush now void. I was, at last, an insect perched upon the wheel of an immense machine imagining, able only to envision its own inability, till inability itself leapt through the silver gape of its laughter and jagged back furious with a persuasive aspect. 3. The terror I had felt I would inspire. Courted by the sweetest explanation, I gave in. Design the many wires of my throat. They echo autonomically the piercing gallimaufry of airborne undulations native to this district. Not a trick, a function. Accident, the longest chapter in the book. You've made an old mistake, said A, suspiring. The agents lit the lamp. Okay, I admit it, but I only happened this way. I never... Design. The book is written. A means to say, I never meant a thing, but in the fatal drama of the gas explosion, the last 3 words of A's last sentence remain, following the author's unambiguous desire, forever unspoken. Moreover, we'll never grasp the wrench those hissing pipes were played with, or find the match behind that bloodshed. Accident, I tripped. The rest was gravity. Accident, who's stumbling on a triumph belly aches. 4. A chakatura. A grace note, that little something extra. Literally a pounding, a crushing. Hear me mimic what I hear, however strange the timbre, pitch, or time of night. Love, in your presence, though it seems essential to the gorgeous torture of my being, I have never once felt. I am by nature made a mimicker, by miracle adept at taking in and flinging back. I have never felt once, love, that especially exquisite delight which I have experienced in the presence of your image, when, ravished, my sextet has called it up from the sensuous sea-chamber of my Mediterranean heart with such magnetic music as would draw the distant nightingale close. Love, so close does it resemble that songbird's famous singing, without love the embarrassment of being. Am I a criminal? Yes, of course, but only in so far. It's cold tonight, cold and unyielding. The forest's heart's a bitch. I mimic what I hear. 5. What tedious auteur keeps changing the scenery the minute it's established? What began gaffed up in the Empyrean suddenly zoomed down to Gothic larchwood branches, and now dissolves to a cardboard city, now closes in on one abandoned building's lamp-lit window, now my winking eye. Miss Singleton's new deportment manual night after night proves indispensable. I cherish our passages, they are not few. She says, Why not use appropriately varied tones of voice, so that each individual might best be able to harvest the pleasure of your company? I do, or I would, that is, I will. I feel relieved and anxious, as when discovering the source of life's mysterious scratching is a colony of ants beneath the wallpaper. Miss Singleton, call a doctor. There is disease about the mouth. It is ashamed of itself. It makes noises that don't ever belong. 6. If I only had a crutch, I wouldn't wobble half so much. What do you think you're up to? Put it down. Put the phone down now. Nights like this, it suits me to wobble. The water flows as in the homeland. They can't get rid of it. A caller wants to know, is it still officially a murder if the dead lived in a manner not found among those listed in Dr. Singleton's Complete Ways of Life? I cling polite by backyard bath. No stranger to suspension on a low-slung branch, to blood run burgundy aflame, persistent dread, dissimulation begets dissimulation. Will we be the masters of the art or its victim? The African violet has passed away. I am afraid I frightened it with my attention. Or say the assailant is a mechanism bound up to perform that particular function. What then? A dozen sparrows thrash one small delirium round the basin, blind to what I am. The terror I inspired I am made to feel.